Room 213, The Whispering Shadows. Hello, Magic Verse followers. Welcome to another spine-chilling tale from our channel. Tonight we uncover the eerie secrets of Room 213. This story will take you deep into the shadows, where fear lurks in silence and the unknown whispers just out of reach. So sit back, turn down the lights, and prepare for a journey into the unexplainable. Remember, some doors are meant to stay closed. Let's dive into Room 213, Whispers in the Shadows. In the heart of a small, forgotten town, there stood an old motel. Its neon sign flickered weakly, the buzzing sound like a dying whisper in the still night. Travelers rarely stopped there unless they were desperate. Room 213, in particular, had a reputation, a sinister one. Locals whispered about strange occurrences, but no one dared to elaborate. Emma, a traveling journalist, found herself stranded in the town when her car broke down. The closest repair shop wouldn't be open until morning, leaving her with no choice but to check into the rundown motel. The clerk, an elderly man with tired eyes, handed her the key to room 213 with a subtle hesitation. "Are you sure there's no other room available?" Emma asked, noticing his reluctance. The clerk sighed. "That's all we've got. If you hear anything strange, just ignore it," he muttered, his voice barely audible. Emma dismissed his odd behavior as small-town superstition. She carried her bag up the creaky staircase to the dimly lit hallway. Room 213 was at the end, its door scratched and scuffed as though it had resisted countless intrusions. The room was as unremarkable as the rest of the motel, faded wallpaper, a flickering overhead light, and a single window that overlooked the parking lot. Exhausted, Emma dropped her bag onto the bed and began to settle in. The wind outside howled, rattling the window pane. She pulled out her laptop, intent on finishing some work before the night ended. It began subtly at first. A faint scratching sound came from the wall behind her. Emma glanced up, her heart skipping a beat, but brushed it off as rodents. She returned to typing, but the noise persisted, growing louder. It wasn't a random scuttle, it was deliberate. Scratch, pause, scratch. Her nerves began to fray. Rising from the bed, she approached the wall, pressing her ear against it. The sound stopped abruptly, leaving an oppressive silence in its wake. Emma let out a nervous laugh and returned to her laptop. That's when the whispering began. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but unmistakably there. Words she couldn't understand, muttered in a tone that made her skin crawl. The sound seemed to seep from the very walls, curling around her like a cold breath. She slammed her laptop shut and stood in the middle of the room, her heart pounding. "Hello?" she called out, her voice trembling. There was no response, only the whispering growing louder, more insistent. Panic set in. Emma grabbed her phone to call the front desk, but the screen displayed no service. Frustrated and frightened, she decided to confront the clerk. She yanked open the door, but the hallway was pitch black. The single bulb that had lit it before was now shattered. Breathing heavily, Emma turned back into the room, slamming the door shut. Her eyes darted to the window. A shadow moved across the parking lot, but there was no one there. The whispers stopped, replaced by a single loud thud from the closet. Her chest tightened. She approached the closet slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last. Her hand shook as she reached for the handle. She swung it open and found nothing but her reflection in a cracked mirror on the inside of the door. Relief flooded her briefly before she noticed something in the mirror's reflection. Behind her, just beyond the bed, stood a dark silhouette. It was human-like but distorted, its limbs too long, its head tilted unnaturally to one side. Emma spun around, but the room was empty. When she looked back at the mirror, the figure was closer, its hollow eyes staring directly at her. A scream tore from her throat as the lights flickered violently. In the strobe-like flashes of light, the shadow moved, jerking closer with each flicker. Emma stumbled backward, her back hitting the wall as the figure loomed over her. The whispers returned, deafening now, overlapping, filling her ears with nonsensical words and chilling laughter. The next morning, the clerk found room 213 empty. Emma's belongings were still there, her laptop open on the bed. The police were called, but no trace of her was ever found. The only clue was the cracked mirror in the closet. On its surface, written in what looked like condensation, were the words, "You're next." Locals say room 213 remains cursed, its secrets buried with those who disappear. The clerk eventually quit and the motel was abandoned. But on quiet nights, passers-by claim they can see a faint light in room 213 and hear the whispers of the shadow that never left. And so ends the tale of room 213, a story that reminds us how the past can sometimes cling to places, leaving echoes for the unwary to discover. Dear followers, thank you for joining us in this haunting journey. Remember, these stories are inspired by real experiences with only names and locations changed to protect privacy. Some places are best left undisturbed. The next time you're in a lonely motel, think twice about the stories it holds. And always, always check the mirrors. Stay tuned for more mysteries, chills, and adventures. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Until next time, keep your courage close and your curiosity alive.